Okay, we're going to take a look at the e-lessons in the ebook now. And so we'll start off and we'll take a look at the e-lessons are right here, and we'll talk about how it's set up, and then we'll take a look at the ebook after that, okay? All right, so the e-lesson, this would be almost like the teacher's lesson plan, okay? And this is set up in a way of which after you do your assessment, you know students are level A or B or C or D. So this particular lesson plan right here is set up for level A and level B for addition and subtraction, okay? So these are the different activities, and everything is HTML linked. So you'll just click on it and take you to that part of the document that you need to, okay? Right here is just the ebook right here, and this just reminds you, okay, there's always another component to this too. This is more of the teaching part. This is more of the student practice part would be the ebook. Down here, these are just a lot of the strategies and concepts that are covered in this particular part. And then there's online practice, and we'll go through a couple of these when we're done. So we'll go ahead, we'll take a look at the first part. We'll do addition concrete screen. And so picture this. This could be either done in a classroom where you are doing a mini lesson for some students and you have this up on your whiteboard, or this could be done from behind your computer screen if you're doing a lesson of Zoom with some of your students. So let's take a look here, right? Remember, a student who's level A, it means that they're just counting everything by ones, or they can't even count, okay? So your whole goal of them working on level A and B is you're trying to get them so they will count on, right? So we show them this photo, okay, there's 5 right there. Now we realize we just covered up that 5 with a mitten. It says, I just put a mitten on the 5 fingers. How many fingers altogether? So now it's completely covered. So how many fingers are there? If there's 5 with the glove on and 3, the answer would be 8. I just put a mitten on for the 5 fingers. How many fingers are there altogether? 8. How many fingers are there altogether here? We know there's 5 under here and 2. And again, it's forcing them to count on. Okay, if there are 4 under the cup, how many are there altogether? And so if there's 4, and again, it's forcing them to count on, they can't see it, so they have to, instead of trying to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they'll count on. There's 8. If there's 6 under the cup, 6, 7, 8. If there's 7 under the cup, 7, 8, 9. Okay, now we have a different visual, but conceptually the same thing. If there are 5 dots in the bucket, how many will there be? 7, 9, 12. Okay, and this part here is more transitioning from digits to getting them to count on. So if there's 5, 5, 6, 7. If there's 5 here, 1 more would be 6. 5 and 1 would be 6. And so again, it's scaffolding, and each level they go up, it's becoming more abstract and less concrete. And that would be addition. Now let's go ahead. We're going to take a look at subtraction partial screen. Okay, and here's the subtraction. Oh, 9 counters in the bucket and 2 were dumped out. How many are there? 7. 5 counters are in the bucket. 3 were dumped out. How many are in the bucket? 2. 11 counters are in the bucket. 3 were dumped out. How many are in the bucket? 8. 12 counters are in the bucket and 5 are dumped out. How many are there? 7. Okay. Now this one, again, conceptually, a little different way of doing subtraction. This has a lot of purple involved in it, but there were 4 dots under the blanket. 1 was slid out. How many are under the blanket? 3. 5 dots were under the blanket. 3 were slid out. How many are under the blanket? 2. There are 7 dots under the blanket. 2 were slid out. How many are under the blanket? 5. And so there's just all these different ones that we can go through. And there's 1, 2. There were 9 under the cup, and we took 3 out. So again, it's different. There were 9, there were 3 out. How many would be there? There would be 6. 10 were there, and we slid 4 out. How many would be there? 6 again. 9, we slid 2 out. There would be 7. And go. All right, and so we'll take a look now at some of the online activities. There's addition dice. These are just games that you can go ahead and, again, these are things you could assign to students or you could do as a lesson. And go ahead and have your students work on it that way. And then there's also, you know, subtraction games too. And these are pretty, oh, that's not the one I wanted. And there we go here. And there we go here. And if we take a look here, we can go to how many are there? There are 10 counters. How many are hidden? So if there's 10 and we can see 3, how many are hidden? There would be 7, okay? And you can change the number to different ones and keep going. Remember, this is subtraction, but there's also a lot of part whole involved with that. So now what we're gonna do is that's just, you know, that's essentially what the lesson plan is. We're now gonna transition over to the workbook now and see how this works, okay? So as you go through the workbook again, there's certain things that I want to show you. So say you're working on getting your students to count on, okay? And picture this. This could be where they have this pulled up on their iPad, and maybe you are teaching this virtually, or maybe you are teaching this in class where they have a worksheet. You could always pull this up on the iPad, and then do you see that YouTube link at the top? So say a student's struggling with this, and instead of you helping them and saying, you know, okay, do this, say, okay, what I want you to do is watch the video. So they can go ahead and click the video. These are all made by us. And take a look what this is.
How many are there in the box after 4? If there are 7 counters in the box, how many are in the box after 3 more are dropped in? If there are 8 counters in the box, how many are in the box after 3 more are dropped in?
And again,
I just put a mitten on the 5 fingers.
Okay, so again, and they all have there's a voice to all of them, so all they have to do is go through and watch it. And again, it's the high quality things that they're going to need to do that. And then you can go through and there's different ones for level A and B and C and D. And so when you get to some of the more advanced strategies, like if you're taking a look at the part whole, or the make 10 strategy for the addition subtraction facts, and these are difficult. Kids are going to help. So again, click on the video.
Understands the structure of numbers, and it's much more efficient because if you take a look at 9 plus 5, and if not able to learn more connections and a deeper understanding to memorize it, say it's 14, but it's more important that they understand the structures of different strategies that you can use. So let's take a look at this, 9 plus 5. So here's our 10 frame right here. And we're saying, okay, what can we do to get to a 10? Because it's really easy to add numbers to a 10. So what we can do is we can take one of these from the 5 and shift it over, and now we have made a 10. So we no longer are dealing with 9 plus 5 anymore. We really created a new problem, and the new problem we made was 10 plus 4.
And so for all these strategies, there's YouTube clips. Now, there's not a new YouTube clip per concept. There's usually one. So if there's 3 or 4 pages working on the same thing, there is that. So this is just what the addition book looks like. And it starts off, if you go kind of all the way through it, starts off very simple, just counting things by ones, and then transition to using more advanced strategies. Then it goes all the way to the very end of using sort of the jumping and the splitting strategies. So if you take a look for, you know, jumping and splitting using a number line, again, you click on the YouTube clip.
56 plus 23. And if you take a look right here, we have a blank number line. So the first thing we have to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to put 56 and draw a dot for 56 on that number line because we know that's the number we're going to be adding to, and that's where we need to start from. Now, in order to successfully use the jumping strategy, we need to understand. So if we have 20, so we'll go ahead and we'll look at our ones. 7, 78, 70.
And again, it takes them all the way through these more difficult strategies. Again, like the splitting strategy is a really good strategy too. And there's also a video that goes with it.
But they don't really understand it. So your students have already, yes, it can transition them. Splitting is go ahead and split the ones here and we'll go ahead and we'll split the ones there. So now what we have is we have 60 plus 20. We know that 60 plus 20 is 80, right? And 3 plus 1, we'll add our ones up, is 4. And our answer is 85.